culture around us is consistently deforming our walk with Christ, our worship of God, and our witness of the gospel. This deformation comes through entertainment, politics, secular education, and so on. The call for the church is reformation. All genuine reformation is found in the power of God through His inerrant and infallible Word. May God raise up an army of people who are firmly committed to be always reforming for the glory of God.
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Happy Friday, you guys. I have missed you. I know I did a lightweight live stream last week, and I wasn't really 100% back, but I am back tonight. I have been working all week. I have been studying the scriptures. I have been consulting with trusted advisors, and today's show is going to be a doozy. I'm going to go ahead and just immediately give you the black box warning right now, because as you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be discussing the attack of the oratchentans. And I understand that many of you may not know what an oratchetan is. You're here because maybe you're curious. You're trying to figure out, what is this woman going to be talking about? What is an oratchetan? Don't worry, we're going to get into a boatload of definitions tonight. But I want to do this show for a number of reasons. I want to do this show because, you guys, I'm tired. I am tired, and I have had it up to here with what I am seeing in the culture displayed for all the world to see. And it has kind of ignited a righteous indignation that I have to be careful, because if I allow my flesh to take over, it won't be good. So I want to go ahead and warn you now. First, I need you to like this video, right? I need you to go ahead, give this video a thumbs up. And then I also need you to share this video. There might be individuals who you think that this might be valuable for. We're going to do a little educating tonight. We're going to do a little exposing tonight. It will be high on the shame factor tonight. I have come prepared. I have come with videos. I have come with screen overlays. I am bringing my A game tonight. So, before we get into this, I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight. I want to send a special shout out to Vic, known as Pookie and them, because, honey, listen, Pookie dropped off some Dominican coffee. It was around Labor Day. came to the house. We were just fellowshipping. And he dropped off some Dominican coffee. And y'all, I'm not really a coffee connoisseur like that. And I was so grateful for the gift. But today, y'all, listen, okay? I'm trying to tell you. I don't know what they doing to them coffee beans down in the DR, but you need to get you some Dominican coffee. So this is an iced coffee that I made with Dominican coffee, and I have been on cloud 9 all day. So Vic, if you are in the live chat tonight, I just want to tell you, thank you, brother, for this coffee. Thank you for the coffee. Hello to everyone else in the live chat tonight. I'm not going to belabor the point. We are going to get straight into the topic this evening. So, as you can see, we're going to be discussing the attack of the oratchetans. And recently, there was an oratchetan sighting up in Philadelphia by an individual who goes by the name of Meatball. And I briefly discussed Meatball, last week in my live stream. And we're going to talk a bit more about the meatballs of the world. Now, Meatball is the pseudonym for the social media influencer, Deja Blackwell. And Ms. Blackwell, she was arrested for inciting a riot and filming her antics on social media. And in addition to Meatball, we're going to be discussing Ebony K. Williams tonight. Ebony Williams, if you don't know, is the female attorney and host of The Griot. And she's been the topic of discussion this year as she disparaged blue-collar men, saying that, she wouldn't date a bus driver, but maybe if he owned the bus, she might give him the time of day. So you may not fully understand it now, but I'm going to be placing both Meatball and Ebony K. Williams in the category of oratchetan. Both Meatball and Ebony, they are on the oratchetan spectrum, but they are on opposite ends, right? So before I explain how both of them are oratchetans, I want to go ahead and I'm going to briefly share a graphic that I created to kind of set the stage to help you understand and frame the direction of our conversation. Now, I'm not going to necessarily explain in grave detail the graphic, but I want you to see it. I want you to have it cemented in your mind, and we're going to just briefly talk about it. And then we're going to move on with the show. So let me get my graphic up here. So this right here, if you can see, this is the oratchetan spectrum, right? And if you can see on the left side, you have mutt culture. And I'm going to define mutt culture, not right now, but if you can see and read the names that I've put under the category of mutt culture, you can use context clues to figure out and determine what I mean. And then all the way on the other side of the oratchetan spectrum, you see the home wreckers, right? I've got some familiar faces and individuals that you might know, and I put them as the home wreckers. And then in the middle, you have this cross section of the feminazis and the black girl magic. Okay, now we're not going to spend a whole lot of time examining this. I just wanted to put it out there so that you can see it, so that you can kind of take it in and understand that tonight we're going to be dealing with the spectrum. Okay, that's the spectrum of the oratchetans. Now, first, I need to, before I even explain how both of them are oratchetans, I first need to refresh your memory. And I need to bring you guys up to speed on exactly what an oratchetan is. So, what is an oratchetan? I'm so glad you asked, right? Inquiring minds want to know, what is an oratchetan? Now, if you're a regular of this show, you probably already know that. In case you don't, let's go ahead and define it, right? So that it is crystal clear what I mean and what I'm talking about. However, before I specifically go into the explanation and formal definition of what an oratchetan is. Let me tell you what an oratchetan is not, okay? So an oratchetan does not refer to ethnicity. I repeat, oratchetans have nothing to do with your ethnicity. It doesn't refer to a particular part of the country, right? Or a part of the city or a region of the world. But in fact, oratchetans, they can be found everywhere. Okay? There are oratchetans on all 7 continents. Now, some regions of the world, they might have a higher concentration of the oratchetan clans than others, but I want to be clear that oratchetans are not localized to one part of the world, and it doesn't refer to any particular type of woman with a specific dermal feature. Dermal referring to the skin, okay? Now let's get that out the way. And I'm going to reorient your thinking because I needed to say that so that you know that this is not about ethnicity. And in addition to this, oratchetans, they don't have anything to do with skin color, but there are oratchetans of all stripes, all hues, all tones. Your ethnicity and your skin color have zero to do with what makes one an oratchetan. Okay, so an oratchetan has zero to do with size. So in addition to, this is not a dermal feature thing. It has nothing to do with size. No one oratchetan is the same size as the other, right? So you have skinny oratchetans, you have fat oratchetans, medium size. You got oratchetans that are in shape that are hitting the gym. There are short, little bitty oratchetans, and then you have tall ones. So hopefully by now you are sensing a pattern here. Oratchetans have zero to do with intrinsic or dermal realities, but it has everything to do with your mindset and your behavior, okay? So oratchetans, they are identified by their mentality, which ultimately the mentality impacts how they present themselves to the world, and it shows up in their behavior. So you're probably wondering, what is the chief characteristic of an oratchetan? Well, first, to identify one, all you have to do is observe their behavior, and then that will give you insight into the mentality, right? The mentality is what fuels their behavior. So if I were to put it into a more formal sense, okay? Let me go ahead and tell you what I prepared for you. Can y'all see that? The oratchetan. Now, this is the formal definition of the oratchetan, right? Because the oratchetan spectrum, it represents a spectrum of female imbeciles who cannot manage their misery. So you see here, I've got the pronunciation broken down for you so you can see where all the syllable breaks are. You can see that it is a noun, so that's the part of speech that the oratchetan is. Now, sometimes it can be used as a verb, but in the context for tonight, we are talking about it in the noun form. So the oratchetan, it is a spectrum of female imbeciles who cannot manage their misery. They are identified by their mindset and their behavior. So you might be wondering, what is an imbecile, right? April, you're using all these new words. Listen, not trying to be disparaging, but I have to talk about the behavior. An imbecile is a foolish person, someone who lacks sense, right? The oratchetan embodies this. And since they cannot manage their misery, they have a cage mentality, right? And since they have a cage mentality, it shows up in their behavior. But why is this? Why does it show up in their behavior? It's because when orangutans are out of their cage, they don't know what else to do, so they act out, right? You got to think of it, look at it like a concrete jungle, right? The concrete jungle, it represents society. And in modern society, you have oratchetans from all walks of life, and they are everywhere, just cageless, moronic, and out of order. Now, I want you guys stay with me because we're doing this slow tonight. I got nothing but time. I'm going to take you on a journey of the spectrum of the oratchetan. Okay, so we're going to start now. Meatball. Meatball, she is on one end of the oratchetan spectrum. So let me go ahead and show it to you again, just in case you missed it, right? That's your spectrum. Meatball's on one end. She's on one end of the spectrum, okay? She's on one end of the spectrum. On this end, you've got the animalistic, cageless imbeciles that they do things like they film themselves in a tub of dirty bath water, just naked, trying to sell a hat. Let me give you an example. Let me see. Here we go. Y'all see that? Okay. Now I'm showing this for shock value, and I've done my best to try to keep it PG-13. So I've blurred out the things that none of us want to see or should be subjected to, but this is a shot of Meatball in the tub, okay? Now, when out in the wild, this type of oratchetan, they incite violence, okay? She screams and she hollers and she acts like this. So let's see.
Must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Yes. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Look, the girl laughing back there. She think it's a joke. Look, she laughing. Y'all, throw that chicken up here on my mom.
A few moments later.
Everybody must eat. Just screaming, hollering, out the cage, just don't know how to act. Just showing out. Now, what does Meatball represent? Okay. Now, Meatball represents the downgrade of an entire culture when matriarchy, I said it, you darn Skippy, I did, when matriarchy is allowed to flourish. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back who didn't hear me. Meatball represents the downgrade of an entire culture when the matriarchy is allowed to flourish. When you have generations of women left to themselves, raising offspring without accountability and without men, you get a slew of performance monkeys. Now, what you may not know is that Meatball is responsible for rounding up other orachetans along with the pavement apes, who themselves were probably raised by other orachetans. Right? She is the ringleader of the pact. Now, keep in mind, I am not referring to the external characteristics or the dermal features such as skin color or ethnicity. I am referring to a mindset that presents itself in the behavior. Remember, being a oratchetan is not a dermal characteristic. It is a mentality, and it is a behavioral distinction. And I want to make sure that y'all understand that if you're just joining in and you're hearing me use this term, oratchetan, and you're like, oh my goodness, that is so offensive. This ain't dermal. This has nothing to do with external skin color, ethnicity, or country of origin. This is a behavioral distinction. Now, what's important to remember here is that I know many of y'all may think, oh, April, girl, you're just being harsh. You're just being way too harsh. Listen, you are free to feel that way. However, the problem is that shame needs to be associated with this behavior. We don't have enough shame going around. And since enough shame is not associated with this behavior, I I'm not cleaning it up. I'm not sanitizing this foolishness. Nope, not gonna happen. I am going to call it out for what it is, because these oratchentans have been allowed to run wild with no accountability for far too long. And so clear lines are being drawn in the sand tonight. We need to name this, identify this, and bring awareness to it. So yes, there's going to be a huge element of shame highlighted on this show tonight. And I am not going to apologize for it. So go ahead, leave all the comments that you want. I told you, I ain't got nothing but time. I'm here for all the smoke. I might be here to midnight for all I know. I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. But here's where we are. What is Meatball and the oratchentans like her? What are these women suffering from? Well, what are they dealing with? Meatball and oratchentans like her, they are suffering from an identity crisis. She does not know who she is and what her purpose is, so she will degrade herself to try to be something. She don't know what, but she's going to be something. Only a person who is ignorant to their essence and worth would record themselves inciting a riot for attention. Only a person who lacks an identity would film themselves naked in a bathtub full of dirty water to sell a hat on Instagram. Y'all, this was about the hat, the beanie on her head. I have too much respect for my audience to play the actual video. So y'all just get the still shot. But it's on the Instagram. She wasn't even selling herself. She's selling a beanie in a tub full of dirty bathwater. Only a person who is having a full identity crisis would boast on social media about defrauding the EBT system to get food stamps. Yes, that actually happened. She did that. Meatball represents an entire generation of women who are building an entire following rooted in debauchery. At 21 years old, this is what she is doing. And you guys, y'all may argue like, oh, you're just being too harsh and that, she's young. She doesn't know any better. Wrong. That's an adult. That's a whole full-grown adult. I will not infantilize these whole-grown women under the guise of they didn't do nothing because they don't know no better. No, she is grown. She is not a child. And this pathology, it runs deep because who raised her? Who raised her? You want to know who raised her? An oratchetan. An oratchetan raised her and turned her out into the culture for the rest of humanity to experience. How do we know? Because her mama is on camera acting like an oratchetan. Go do the research for yourself. So she's acting like an oratchetan because the mama is an oratchetan. She's an oratchetan, the mama's an oratchetan, and grandma is kind of like oratchetan light. That's probably where it started. Neither of them can manage their misery. So what do? They unleash it for the rest of the world to experience. This woman, Meatball, has built an entire social media following rooted in debauchery. She worships chaos and destruction and just causing mayhem. She bows the knee to immorality. Her entire social media influence, it's rooted in loathe and in this fake liberation and just pure lawlessness. The meatballs and the females like her, they literally do not know how to function in freedom. That's why I referred to them earlier as just cageless and out of order. Just cageless and out of order. Completely out of order. Her and the mama. Her reckless behavior represents the culture that she's been raised in. And what culture is that? What culture am I saying that Meatball was raised in that can be implicated in explaining why she's acting the way that she is? I am so glad that you asked. Meatball. Meatball is the poster child for what I call mutt culture. That's menacing, unruly, and thuggish. Yes, I said it. She was raised and steeped in the ideology of mutt culture. Menacing, unruly, and thuggish. And before you come for me, hear me clearly. Mutt culture has nothing to do with color. See, when you've been steeped in this colorism and this cultural Marxism, your mind automatically thinks that when I'm talking about mutt culture, oh, she must be talking about black people. Nope. That ain't what I said. It has nothing to do with culture. Nothing to do with color. It has everything to do with culture. I've been clear from the beginning that this is not about color. Mutt culture is a mindset. It's a mentality. And none of this is dermal. It is cultural. It is purely cultural. It is stupid to even think that your skin complexion makes you act a certain way. So for all the special needs people who may be watching and who are struggling to make the proper category distinctions, I have been clear that I am not referring to dermal external features. This has everything to do with a mentality. So when I speak of mutt culture, I am speaking of the context of behavior. This mutt culture is a cancerous culture. It's a cancerous culture that results in fratricide and nihilism. It's actually, when you examine it at its core, it's a form of idolatry, and it's derived from loathe, liberation, and lawlessness. And when you subscribe to mutt culture, you don't value life. You don't value your neighbor's life. That's why you kill the unborn. That's why you fight for the right to snuff out the lives of your own kind in the womb under the guise of reproductive justice. And when I mean your own kind, I am not talking about the ones that look like you. I'm talking about humankind, because we are all of the human race. I'm talking about mankind, humankind, the imago Dei. That's what I am talking about. And when I talk about the propaganda of mutt culture, I'm referring to this worldview. It's a worldview that teaches you that you can act like a moron. And then you can encourage others to act like a moron. And you don't even need to fear being held accountable, because the system that you claim is against you is actually encouraging you to be a moron. Only an imbecile, a foolish person that lacks sense, would record their own participation in lawless behavior and then attempt to be like, you know what, I'm going to capitalize off of this, and I'm going to ask for money in support of my foolishness. This is how we know. She knows what she was doing, but she's steeped in the propaganda of mutt culture. The mutt culture, it deceives you into actually believing that you can be menacing, unruly, and thuggish, and that it's okay. Well, guess what? It is not. It is not okay, because, mind you, Negro Americans were not like this. I know that's a term y'all haven't heard in a while. Negro Americans did not subscribe to mutt culture. I saw somebody in the chat saying, this is why I don't identify with those people over there. I'm with you, brother. Negro Americans had to deal with conditions. They had to deal with the conditions of slavery and segregation. Those were very real, oppressive conditions, and they didn't even act like this. By God's grace, we had policies that managed to bypass and get rid of that. But Black Americans today, They're dealing with constructs, not conditions. And how do we know this? Because name something that a white person can do that you can't. I got all day. I got nothing but time. Nothing. There's nothing that they can do that you can't, but somehow so many of us have adopted mud culture as a way of life because we've been told that, we so oppressed. And we are just dealing with so much that we don't have an outlet. We don't have after school programs, so we have to participate in mud culture because we're bored. That's the prevailing narrative. The Afrosticians, the ones in charge, like the Brandon Johnsons, this is the foolery that they're spouting out, and they won't call this what this is. No. We're not gonna allow you, to talk about them like this. Let's just say, when we examine the past, Negro Americans were not like this, and they were dealing with serious conditions. The conditions that the Negro American had to live under was worse. But you didn't see no foolishness like this. Our behavior was nowhere near. You didn't see this. But you know what happened to us? Do you know? The propaganda of mud culture happened to us. This bankrupt mud culture is what happened to the American Negro. The propaganda of mud culture effectively just destroyed us. It destroyed us and is destroying us. And there's a combination. I can't blame it all on mud culture. Because mud culture, yes, it is a huge implication in what's happening here, but it's the mud culture and feminism. Feminism has been used, those two together, working in conjunction, have been used as a weapon to destroy the nuclear family, and people like Meatball, they continue time and time again to just nuke the nuclear family. I'm talking like bioweapon of mass destruction, nuking the nuclear family. This behavior by itself, it nukes the nuclear family and the fabric of a healthy society, because you can't even get to the point where you even understand what a family is, because if you did, you wouldn't embarrass yourself or the family that you represent. Matter of fact, most of these, they don't represent families. They don't represent families. They represent descendants and generations of oratchetans. And at this point, it's not even a slow death. It's a rapid operation that has managed to do more harm than the KKK and Jim Crow ever set out to do. Prove me wrong. The numbers don't lie. I have truth and statistics and observable reality on my side. All you see is chaos and contempt and grievance when you are living in the freest time that you've ever lived in, with no conditions like the Negro American had to live and be subjected to. But you know what else destroyed us? In addition to the mud culture, the feminism. Like I said, feminism just completely decimated what was left of the Negro American family. And since we are speaking about feminism, I'm going to take some time to demonstrate to you how not only the demoralized propaganda of mud culture is the problem, but the wickedness of feminism is what destroyed us. Feminism, it has to be rejected because it's the other component to creating the optimum environment for these oratchentans to flourish. And without the feminism, the oratchetan behavior wouldn't have taken a foothold. And that is what brings me to my next point. We're going to talk about the other end of the spectrum. So we've dealt with the mud culture. That's on the left side of the spectrum. Let me go ahead and show it to you one more time. Can you see it? Do you see the spectrum? The mud culture's on the left. The all the way right extreme part, that's your home wreckers. But right there in the middle between the feminazis and the black girl magic, you got somebody else. Okay? Now, I'm moving my way along this spectrum quickly. I can't be here all night as much as I would like to, but we're going to spend some time and talk about Ebony K. Williams. And you're probably wondering, why is she on the spectrum? Or, better yet, where? Where on the spectrum do we place her? If we have the monk culture here, where do we put her? Ebony is definitely on the spectrum of oratchetan behavior, but she's on the other end. She is right of center. Because this female, while she's not in the street, right? Like she's not inciting a riot. She isn't encouraging pavement apes and other oratchetans to loot and riot. She's still an oratchetan because of this, because of her mindset. Remember, an oratchetan cannot manage their own misery. And since being a oratchetan is about mindset and mentality, this is why she's on the spectrum. So you see, Ebony's on the spectrum because she has been formally trained to compete with a man and not need the help of a man. She's been trained to be his competition and not his helpmate. She doesn't have a concept of adding value to a man because she has spent her entire adult life trying to compete and be a man and live a life in pursuit of selfish ambition, which is the opposite of what a wife and a mother embodies. So we're shifting gears from monk culture. We're on this side. This is the clean, sanitized side of the oratchetan spectrum that often gets ignored, but it needs to be discussed and it must be identified. Now, Ebony, by her own admission, she's always been ambitious. By her own words, her pursuit of money and success, it has been on the forefront of her mind for a long time. And she even says she is relentless with it. The idea of being devoted to a man and building a family, like with him, that's foreign to her. Because usually this type of woman, her and women like her on this end of the spectrum, they weren't raised in a nuclear family, right? Some of these women, they're either raised by a single mom, a divorced mom, or this even includes those that are in a home where the man who was present, he was treated like a second-class citizen. So apart from Christ and my mind being renewed, I would have been on this side of the oratchetan spectrum, right? Love my mama, but I was raised with no man around, okay? So I didn't really have a point of reference to what cooperation in a one flesh union looked like. This is where I would have been, right? So this type of oratchetan, she is the quintessential feminist. And what happens is she bought into the lies of female empowerment, right? And all of that female empowerment, it's cloaked under the guise of being a boss babe, right? So y'all are familiar with the terminology, the boss babe. That's your black girl magics. That's for the black females. And then the girl power or the girls rule, boys drool mentality. That's for our less melanated counterparts. So you'll normally hear it under that type of terminology. So these women, they are raised to go for theirs. She was raised, go for yours, girl. Get your own. Raised to not need or ever depend on a man because all you can depend on is yourself and your own efforts. That is the mentality that they're indoctrinated with. And ultimately, it is the ultimate glorification and deification of self. That's what I like to call it. So the diva mentality, right? The goddess, mother God, yes, it is literally a narcissistic self-worship, which is idolatry. You guys, these oratchetans, they are raised to believe that men are the problem. Men are the source of their oppression, and men are the reason why they are unable to manage their misery. Because you see, in this paradigm, feminism, it lied to women like Ebony. Feminism told them that men were the enemy and all of your problems stem from something that a man did or has done or will do to you, and he is the one standing in your way. Masculinity, must be destroyed. He must be conquered. He must be emasculated. Feminism told these women that building a life with a man, that's oppressive. That's too restrictive. You can't live your best life under the confines and the structure and the leadership of a man. Oh no. A man telling you where to go and how much to spend and how to do this and how to do that. Oh no, that's bondage. Those are shackles on your feet that must be destroyed. But what you really want, they try to tell you what you really want is to be free, right? Free from the chains of traditionalism, right? They taught you that to do for self and to set you on a path to where all you know is me, myself, and I. That's all you know. Why? What Beyonce said, because that's all I got in the end, and that's what I found out. Come on. These are the women that live in constant opposition with men. A man says up, she got to affirm that it's down. It don't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be consistent with observable reality. It is just the opposite of whatever he says or whatever he advocates, even if it's to her own betterment. Like, I've seen it happen, and you just sit back and you just watch it. You're like, wow, look at them go. They just, wow. It's incredible sight to see when you see it actually happen in the fullness of time. But over time, through a number of mechanisms, you have through education, right? Institutional and cultural indoctrination. These oratchentans, they develop what I call an allergy to real men, right? Like real men just make them itch. Real men make them itch. They cannot pass a skin patch test. No. The moment that they encounter a masculine man of exceptionalism who actually desires to bring structure and order and consistency in their lives, immediately, they're breaking out in hives. They just scratching, just itching, they can't have that because the histamine response is too strong. It's too strong. It overwhelms the immune system, and they run it for the Benadryl. It's got to stop. They sabotage their own selves because the devoted, strong men who are about family, those men run from women like this as they should. Run fast. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. Keep it moving. Because feminism, the godless ideology that they wholeheartedly bought into, it doesn't have the ability to bring joy or peace at all. It's bankrupt. It's bankrupt, and it is void of anything good. And while they're on this path, living life as an oratchetan on this end of the spectrum, all they experience, it's full of pain and misery. And most of all, y'all, this the catcher right here, the delusion and the psychosis. Y'all, the delusion is strong on this side. It's strong. It's a lot of delusion, and it's deceptive. And the reason why I say that is because on the surface, the oratchentans on this end, they believe that they have it all together, right? They come and go as they please. They are, as Kamala would say, unburdened by what has been, right? They are married to their jobs, and then eventually, when they hit around 35, they start panicking. And they start panicking because they begin to realize that the path that they chose isn't what they really wanted. And so they get gripped with fear and they start making decisions such as freezing their eggs, right? They start trapping men and collecting semen for their own personal use. You've heard the stories. Some of these ball players get caught out there by these oratchentans from, I don't know how it happened. And next thing you know, they got a whole specimen of your seed for their own personal use. They start preparing for the worst because they know deep down inside that they are not equipped. They don't have the tools necessary to build a family. So they start looking at the cryobanks with just stars and glee in their eyes. And then they slowly come to the realization that they messed up. It hit like a ton of bricks. They realize, I done messed up. I messed up, but they do a lot of self-talk. They might realize, okay, I messed up. But then here comes the affirmations, the self-talk, right? They preach and they evangelize to themselves that there's nothing wrong with them, right? Because you got to preach to yourself, right? Because if you don't believe it, nobody will. They say things like that. I just haven't met him yet. Right? They come declaring the gospel of delusion. That's what I like to call it. The gospel of delusion says that there is a man out there that is willing to deal with me, and despite the fact that I bring absolutely nothing to the table that is of a benefit to him, he's just going to show up and he's going to manifest himself, and it's going to happen for me. Why? Because I say it's going to happen. Right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen to me. And then what they do, here's the evangelism. It's going to happen for you too, sis. Right? Like, we don't have to do anything. We sure don't have to change. Oh no, change is not on the table. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to change. We don't have to learn what it means to be a wife. We are just fine. Right? Just speak it, right? Speak it and make it so, right? If you confess this with your mouth and believe it in your heart that you are the best thing since sliced bread, somebody gonna come and save you. That is the gospel of delusion. Now, what I'm gonna do right now, I wanna share a clip. This is a clip from a few months ago where Ebony, she was the recipient of much deserved backlash, right? She made some disparaging comments about working class men. And so I'm going to share this because I want to refresh y'all's memory.
Let me ask you this. Let's get to the logistics, though. Let's get to the logistics. We know that black women are earning college degrees faster than anybody else. Many of us are doing like we're doing, Ayanla. We're getting those terminal degrees, those JDs, MD, PhDs. We also are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, along with Latina women in America. Pew Research said that women are now out-earning men. Yes. In 22 of the largest cities in America, including where I live, New York, DC, LA, you name it. When we talk, and I know that you've said that you cannot teach a man or tell a man how to be a man. So I will not ask you to indict men in this question. But I do want you to speak, Ayanla, to how women need to, position ourselves so that we can be in our divinity, so we can have our crowns right, how we can create and not build, when some of us, quite frankly, feel that the men that are available to us, and I'm talking about across the color spectrum, across the age spectrum, trust me, I've done them all, they are not positioned to protect nor provide because of some of the statistics we just talked about. They're not earning the incomes. They're not having the resources, and some of them are not even showing up in the leadership.
Would you date a bus driver? Would you date
if
a bus
he owns
driver?
the bus? If he owns
No.
it. If he owns the bus.
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my prenup, but I could build with a bus driver. So I think some of the criteria that we look for in the reality of today keeps us unhappy, keeps us angry, keeps us imbalanced. And then when the men show up, we want to beat them up because they're not living up to our standards and criteria. And it's not working, beloved. It's just not working. So it's not that it's bad or wrong. It's obsolete. It's obsolete. We have to come up with a new way of being. I don't believe in carrying a man. A man has to do for himself. My son got his first job when he was 9. 9, okay? Because you're a black man. You will know how to take care of yourself. But I think the way we measure it, it's just obsolete.
So as you can see, the elitism is strong here. And I realized while we were having our memory refreshed of how we got here, there are some in the chat who claims that I'm being a Pharisee, right? I'm being a Pharisee saying, I'm so glad that I'm not like them. No, here is the problem. For too long, we have coddled and allowed our entire communities to be decimated by a doctrine of demons. Lucifer's language has been proliferating the mindset of even godly women who adopt this mindset. So the idea that I am standing on some moral high ground, sweetheart, you have no idea who I was before Christ. I can't get to the good news until I diagnose the problem. We have to discuss the villains of this movement because it is destructive and it is trash. And if you don't like it, it's probably because you probably need to do some self-examination yourself. When someone puts a mirror up to your face and you have to look at yourself, it ain't pretty. It is ugly. Sin, our dark and dead, spiritually dead hearts are ugly. They are sinful and they are wicked. I don't come preaching peace right now. This ain't a peaceful message. This is a message for people to understand this is what we are dealing with. I can't get to the good news until we deal with the problem. Until we are shown our sin, until we are broken before a righteous and a holy God. They said the same thing about John the Baptist when he told Herod, it is unlawful for you to have your brother's wife. They wanted to chop his head off. So guess what? You can go ahead and put mine on a platter because I'm here for it. I do this because I love the brethren, but I do this because I love the lost. And my love for the lost will not allow me to rock them and lull them to sleep after they destroy themselves through the ignorance of not knowing this is what's wrong with me. This is why I'm getting the outcomes that I am getting. This may not be the show for you. And the direction that this podcast is going, where I want to take women who love God, who are willing to die to themselves so that the next generation, we don't have to deal with these oratchentans. Everybody can't go on that trip. I'm taking women with me who say, yes, I messed up, but I'm broken. I am ashamed. I hate my sin. Show me the path to righteousness, but I can't take you there until we deal with the problem. So if you have a problem with this, you are free to leave because this message ain't for you. You can join the ranks of the oratchetans who want to be told that yes, you are beautiful and you are a queen, mother goddess. Celebrate yourself. This is not a message of self-love. This is a message of die to yourself. That's what this is. Now, the arrogance, the love of self, the unappeasable attitudes, the idea in this clip, y'all just saw it, the idea that a bus driver is just beneath her unless he owns the bus. This is what you call the aristocracy elite. No man in her eyes has the income that she wants. None of it is ever suitable. Even Ayanla had to explain to her that the standard, ma'am, that you're using to measure a man, it is off. This is a Yoruba priestess who probably got 2, 3, 4, I don't know, failed marriages under her belt, trying to let her know, sis, your litmus test, it's off. And she was way nicer than I'm trying to be right now. Because that's the problem. They've been too nice. They've been handling you with kid gloves. And now you are at the crossroads of your life thinking that it's something out there that is the reason why I don't have the outcomes that I want. Instead of saying, it is me. I am the problem. But as you saw in that clip, she doesn't care about that. She doesn't care about that. Because to her, it is all about the resources for her. I know you're familiar with it. Men cannot stand this type of woman. It's a type of woman where it's all about the money. It's all about the money and it's all about the resources. And even Ayanla was given a little oratchetan energy. Right, just with the little side comment about the prenup, but I digress. This is not a show about that. But Ayanla mentioned it in passing that women today need to change. But don't nobody want to hear that because it's never you. It's always everybody else out there, but it's never you. So now that we took a blast from the past to see, okay, that's when she was in her high octane oratchetan energy. But now I'm going to play a more recent clip. This one's going to be a more recent clip of Ebony seemingly turning over a new leaf. But while I'm playing this, I want you to listen very carefully. Because on the surface, it really seems like she's turning over a new leaf. But listen to this right here.
I'm starting today's sidebar with a hot take. I unequivocally believe and advocate for young black women to adopt this MRS degree mentality. Yeah, I said it. Now, it bucks the traditional teachings of us avoiding boys until we are so-called established. But what no one tells us as young black women matriculating on America's college campuses is that for these 4 years, or maybe 7 or 8, depending on whether or not you pursue graduate or professional studies, well, this will be the last time that you will be in such a concentrated space with this many presumably available men of projected equal educational and financial positioning. And if you desire to marry a black man, as the vast majority of black women do, this is even more so the case. And this is exactly where this whole idea starts to get really complicated, right? See, culturally, our society has shifted a bit from stigmatizing men who choose to be forever bachelors. These middle-aged single men are no longer punished by way of being kept out of prestigious companies or leadership roles. I mean, we literally have a 63-year-old, single, never been married, heterosexual black man as the mayor of New York City right now. And there's another one just like him. He happens to be 54, and he's serving in the U.S. Senate. So listen, I can understand how a black man who is successful and educated would not be greatly incentivized to hurry up and put a ring on any woman's finger by the time he walks across a college graduation stage. The reality that needs to be said out loud is that as black men age, their desirability increases. Thus, their optionality of women is always expanding. And the exact opposite is true for black women. As we age, doesn't matter how much money we accumulate, our degrees or professional accolades, the reality is that our marriage and partnership market value is depreciating with every passing year. No matter how good we look, no matter how fit we are, men are still seeing primarily our presumed dwindling fertility as a knock against us. And speaking of fertility, that is another reason that I want younger black women to seek marriage and partnership in college or right after, if that's what they choose. Because the number of college-educated black men is so low when compared to black college-educated women that we're all going to be targeting the same small pool of men. And as we heard today, on most campuses, there's like 7 black women students for every 1 black man student. Y'all do the math. So here's my advice. If you are a young black woman in college and you know in your heart and in your head that you want to prioritize family, I suggest that you simultaneously pursue that MRS degree right along with that BA or JD. Because the handful of black college-age men that actually do desire to get married soon, and they do share that value system, and family is a priority for them too, y'all, that is an incredibly small pool, and it's shrinking as you get older. And by the time you reach my age, 40, you will be faced with different choices relating to life partnership and motherhood. Now, I'm not saying that delaying marriage or motherhood is a bad option, but it's one that comes with its own consequences. And our women deserve to know on the front end of their decision making instead of on the back half. Oh, and one more thing. This MRS degree is not foolproof. There's a lot that can go wrong when you get married at 23 years old, including divorce and other problems. So the takeaway is simply this. Just know as much as you can about the marriage marketplace and your current and your future positioning in it so that you can make the best and most informed decision for you and your most true priorities.
Okay, so this is the clip that when I first heard it, I was like, wow, on the surface, Ebony led people to believe that she had seen the light. Now, you got to listen to this with a discerning ear, because the first time you might be like, okay, she might have seen the error of her ways, and she might be turning over a new leaf. After years of being difficult and competitive, unruly, and just downright insufferable, she may have finally decided to turn over a new leaf. But in this clip, she talks about the reality of women's options decreasing as they age. And I was quite shocked because typically it is very difficult to get women to agree with observable reality, right? Ebony, in that statement, she gets no argument out of me on that point. It's just a fact. We've had plenty of people say it. In fact, they tried to chop off Kevin Samuel's head when he said it, that when he said that women had a fit and they were ready to just delete him. But the fact of the matter was we needed to hear it because we needed to face the truth, right? No one is saying that it's impossible for marriage and motherhood to occur when a woman is older, right? What we are saying is that, one, geriatric pregnancy is real, and your body cannot do what it does at 45 that it is designed to do at 25. Girl, you are not Sarah, okay? You're not Sarah and you're not Elizabeth, right? Those women were uniquely chosen by God for a specific purpose to birth John the Baptist, okay? And so that the promised seed, the seed of Abraham, could flourish. Okay, so you are not that, and it is not biologically possible as a normative pattern for 50-year-olds to have babies. Yes, we have isolated incidences that 50-year-olds are still ovulating, and they luck up and they have that baby. But I'm not going to allow you to smoke hopium over here. That is not what we do on this channel. I'm not going to let you smoke hopium and get high off a delusion. If that's what you want, if that is the content that you want to take in, you are free to find that. There are so many channels that are out here lying to women, telling them about great tidings, good tidings of great joy. We don't do that over here. Okay, so if you want to smoke hopium, go somewhere else and go smoke your hopium and get high off your delusion. We have to deal in truth. We are people of truth. Okay, there are some times where harsh words do not feel good in the moment, but you have to be at least willing to say, you know what? Either it's true or it's not. You just have to deal with the facts. Now, the part about this clip that I just shared is subtle, but that tells me that Ebony is still lost is when she says that college is the place that women, Black women in particular, will find men. Here was the kicker that she said that she told on herself and she gave it away. She said that college in particular, Black women in particular, will find men that are projected to have equal education and financial positioning. Y'all, this chick can't get her needle stuck off of money. It's always about the money with these oratchetans. They know nothing. I think I saw Sister Victoria said it. Like, we're here for a purpose, but money is not the gold. We have eternity in mind. Yes, you have to provide. Yes, you have to take care of yourself. But these women know nothing about building a nuclear family with strong values and a legacy to be proud of. All they see, all they desire, and all they pursue are resources, financial resources. Prove me wrong. The idea that the only kind of viable partner for an educated, and I use that in air quotes because they are churning out these dumbest brick women out these institutions, a dime a dozen, but they're educated, right? The only kind of viable partner, quote unquote, for the educated woman, according to her, is a man that is, quote unquote, on her level. When she says that exposes that she has not changed. She is still shallow and silly and ignorant. That's why she is on the oratchetan spectrum. These women, they are not bound by the truth of Scripture. I get it. These are unregenerate women. And they are functioning and they are moving in a scriptureless society. Yes, they are void of the truth and they cannot help you. But why is it that I see some of God's people listening to these women, taking in what they say and adopting these same worldly, secular mindsets? These women, they wouldn't know what a good man is if he showed up on their door on the front porch with a sign dangling around his neck. They're blinded. They are blinded by the lies of the enemy, whether it's the propaganda of mutt culture on this side or the feminism on this side. These women are lost. This woman, she threw Black men under the bus again. She didn't have to talk about the bus driving man, but she threw that type of man under the bus again by stressing the fact that, well, if you're in college and you desire to date a Black man, well, you have to meet him there while he's in school, because outside of the college campus, there aren't really a lot of Black men that would qualify to marry a college-educated Black woman. You guys, she is still selling you a bag of lies. Still trying to push the idea that because you attend college, because you are working on your degree, that this is what makes you eligible and desirable. And she actually said that all of us are going to be targeting the same pool of men, as if the only pool of good men exists on these Marxist college campuses. And that's just not true. It is the same snobbery, the same elitist aristocracy mindset that she was pushing when she sat down with Ayanla. She's still placing the idea in the heads of so many young black women that, yes, if you're going to be, chasing a man for marriage and you want to have kids, you have to position yourself to get them from here, because the pool of black men going to college anyway, well, it's already real small. Are you catching what she's saying? Did you hear it? She's still excluding regular blue-collar men and average working-class men, making women believe that the best caliber of men and the only caliber of men that are worth pursuing early are found in these institutions. You may not have caught it, but that's what I caught. It's not what she's saying, it's what she's not saying. Good soil, my friends, bears good fruit. Bad soil bears frustration and failure. This woman has built her entire life on bad soil with bad seeds. And I know this is going to sting. This is going to sting, but it needs to be said. Ebony failed at creating the life that she now wants, and she still doesn't know how to get it. She has spent a great deal of time when she was younger chasing the bag. So that's all she knows how to do. She knows how to get the bag. And she is still in her language and her messaging pushing the same toxic mindset onto younger women. It was so obvious in this clip. All she is doing is teaching you how to be smarter and to start chasing the bag sooner. Smarter in the sense that, you need to chase the bag. You need to chase the bag sooner. It's the same shallow and silly messaging as before. It's just a little more sanitized. That's it. Just a little more sanitized. The woman does not want a husband. This woman does not want a family. She doesn't want to be a devoted family builder. She just wants the external trappings of what she thinks that those things provide. What am I talking about? Like, what do I mean? Like most oratchetans on this end of the spectrum, they don't want to build a family. They're motivated by money and lots of it. All they see are dollar signs. It's cha-ching everywhere. All they see and all they want is the big wedding. All they want is a social media timeline that will be the envy of others so that it can feed their selfish little egos. All they want is the appearance of success. All they want is to impress their other oratchetan girlfriends, and all they want to do, they just want to consume. Their God is their belly. They worship themselves, their achievements, and all the external things that have no eternal value. You guys, this woman is not a wife. Ebony and the oratchetans like her on this end of the spectrum, they don't even know what a wife is or what a wife does. Now, we know she wants a kid. We know she wants a kid because she's talked about having adequate resources to love and to give a child things, but she is not a wife, nor does she even know what a wife brings to the table. There is no way, if I were a man, I'd have her be the mother to my child, because this woman does not understand sacrifice. She doesn't understand sacrifice. This woman doesn't understand duty and honor and respect. She is clueless as to what humility and meekness or virtue looks like. And so in the world of oratchetans like this, it's her career, her money, and her material possessions. Those are the things that she brings to the table. But none of those things are things that men actually want or care about. They do not care. Oratchentans, they do for self. That's it. Every decision they make, every calculated risk that they take, it is all for the greater good and benefit of them and no one else. No one else. But a good man, a devoted man, a family man, someone who would be good to her and good for her, she doesn't bring anything of value to him. But instead, that's a whole headache and an emotional burden if I've ever seen one. Whole headache. And when women like this talk about a man, they only speak about men as it relates to their resources and him being on their level. Now, mind you, their level in reality is way down here. It's like way down here in the scallywag territory. But to them, in the delusions of their mind, from all of the hopium that they smoke, they think they are way up here. To these women, suitability is equated to and attached to the resources that a man can provide. But outside of his resources, outside of the resources, a man can only provide her with just sperm. That's it. Just a vial of sperm. She'd prefer his money and his sperm, but a vial of sperm will do. That'll be sufficient. And at this stage in her life, the sperm's the hot commodity of value for her because she's already hit the wall. She's already hit the wall. She's already made it clear that when she went on a campaign advocating for women to begin freezing their eggs and shopping for sperm at cryobanks and to be, wait for it, single moms on purpose. But now, in recent developments, she's gone on to kind of, well, not really, just a little bit, to advocate for the idea that it might be a good idea to prioritize marriage and motherhood when you're young. Just saying. Like, so we're going to play her recent take on this situation. This is more of a rebuttal to what she just said about pursuing the MRS degree. And in this rebuttal, I'm going to demonstrate the fundamental problems with her alleged reformation.
I dedicate my sidebar commentary to a topic from today's show. However, special circumstances warrant special considerations. And viewers, I need you to know, I hear you and I see you. Social media commenters, I see you too. And I do want to make just a few points of clarification. My suggestion that women simultaneously pursue our MRS degrees alongside our bachelor's, JDs, and MBA degrees is not for universal consumption. As I said in my original take, and I'm going to reiterate here, this is exclusively for Black women who in the deepest corners of their minds and hearts know that getting married and creating a traditional nuclear family is one of their topmost priorities. For those women and those women only, my advice stands because it is numerically factual that during your pursuit of higher learning, you will be in a captive environment with the highest number of men that stand in equal educational and presumably economic and family value positioning. And I know that during these conversations, people understandably like to make this about me and my personal life and choices. I do get it, because when you lead these conversations, people are going to look at your personal example. The issue here is that I'm going to be just 100% honest with y'all and vulnerable. I am not a reliable measure of the personal desires of most educated Black women in America today. I said it. And I know this to be true because I am in deep connection and sisterhood with countless educated Black women. And based on 20 plus years of deep dialogue with these women everywhere, from the South, the West Coast, DMV, and New York tri-state areas, I know for sure that I am an outlier. I am one of the most relentlessly ambitious people you will ever meet, black or white, man or woman. And if God descended from the heavens and he made me choose between my high octane career that is rooted in impact and power and really all consuming, or having a husband and children under a more traditional nuclear model, I would choose my career. And I don't say that lightly, because in many ways, y'all should know I have really made that choice. And I know from lived experience that most women, even the most ambitious ones, the ones with the Ivy League PhDs, the big law firm partnerships, and the medical doctors, are not desirous of my choice. Most women, even the most educated, high-earning ones, they want to be married, and they do want to have children in a more conventional way than I have chosen. And that is why I am talking to those women in particular, and I am targeting this advice to women that are young enough to do something about it on the front end. No way and no how do I believe that black women's worth is dependent on being married or pushing out some man's big-headed baby. Of course, we have tremendous value in this world beyond our roles as wives and mother, and only somebody very ignorant to my full body of work or otherwise disingenuous would come to any other conclusion. Now, of course, women can still find love and yes, even get married after college or after 40, or I'm gonna mess y'all up, after 60. And of course, black women can be mothers in a litany of ways, including with partners they meet later in life, single mothers by choice, and so on and so on. And finally, of course, black women can partner and marry non-black men or black men with different levels of education. And still I stand by what I said. Most educated black women in this country desire to marry educated black men. And they also want to have children under the construct of that marriage. And the most opportune time to set up that structure is when you are surrounded by black men that are also pursuing their education. Last point. This is all about putting black women in best position to create that lifestyle. And nothing I'm saying is guaranteeing that y'all will stay married or even be happy, because nothing can guarantee such a thing. I'm only saying out loud what pockets of black elite communities have passed down generationally for years. And I respect that it's hard to hear, and no, you don't have to agree. But I am happy that we, as educated black women, are hearing each other, are seeing each other, and we're having the conversation.
So you heard it. You heard it. This was the rebuttal, the clap back after she advocates for, okay, maybe it's not so bad of an idea to pursue, marriage in college. And I've already talked about all of the problems with the messaging and the languaging behind what she was actually saying. But here is the part that so many people missed, right? So, you guys, everybody is still clueless. And she still doesn't really want a man. But did y'all hear it? You may have missed it. That was the sound of prideful regret. That was prideful regret, and regret coupled with a person who obviously she's not in Christ. So by default, she is lost spiritually, but relationally. And you guys, this is just sad. We just listened to the sound of a woman who cannot manage her own misery. And this is why she's on the oratchetan spectrum. Remember, what is an oratchetan? It's the female imbecile who cannot manage her own misery. And I know you don't like that word. I know you don't like it, but it has to come with weight, because imbecile denotes lacking wisdom, lacking sense, not wanting to listen to correction, actually rejecting knowledge and rejecting correction. It's doubling down in your foolishness. That's why I use it. I am reclaiming the English language. I am not going to allow it to be hijacked. And the politically correct crowd is like, well, it's just not politically correct to say that. That is the problem. There's no shame associated with this mindset. In fact, this mindset is glorified, and I'm the bad person, because I'm identifying it and calling it out. But here's the deal. I refer to these kinds of women, this imbecile-like behavior, because they lack sense. They lack wisdom. They make bad choices, and then they influence and direct others to make equally bad choices. She and the women like her, they are reaping what they have sown, and they know that something is wrong, but they don't have the tools and the know-how to fix the problem. You guys, she's smart enough to realize that, okay, logistically, if a woman desires marriage and children, then she should probably pursue that, or should I say, position herself for that outcome when she is young. But she's still smoking lots of opium and is still trying to sell opium in delusion to her female audience. You guys, she literally said she still advocated as if this is a viable and desirable and appropriate idea to be a single mom by choice. That is insane. No woman who is supposed to be educated with wisdom and sense that the good Lord gave them would continue to advocate such a toxic and destructive paradigm. But because of her arrogance, her selfishness, and this elite mindset, she can't even wrap her mind around the idea that such an outcome is disastrous for the community and society at large. Like, in her mind, this is a great and viable alternative. You can hear the contempt in her voice at the idea of being a wife and having some man's big-headed baby. Did you hear it? I know you heard it. Did you hear the bitterness and the lack of joy surrounding something so beautiful and so precious? So she's like, yeah, I'm going to advocate that y'all need to do this younger. However, it ain't the end all be all and, have some man's big-headed baby. Like, the bitterness. She can't even be happy for those that she's trying to say, listen, if you're going to go down this path, do it while you're younger. It's a beautiful thing. I'm going to encourage it because, listen, you don't want to walk the road that I walk. She can't even do that with a spirit of humility and just celebrating the fact that I messed up, but I'm not going to let you walk down this path. You guys, she spent a lot of time trying to convince the rest of us that because of the relentless pursuit of her career, that this brings her so much joy and fulfillment that she is fine. Like she said, she is an outlier and that she is doing just fine. You guys, this woman is not okay. She is insufferable, and since she cannot manage her misery, she refuses to humble herself and just admit that she messed up and she didn't know what she didn't know. And she's trying to convince you that the consequences of her choices, they're not impacting her in a meaningful way one bit. Lies. This is why she's unfit. This is why she's not qualified to be a wife. This is why she is lost, and this is why she will ultimately remain alone. She hasn't humbled herself to the point where she is pleading with women to abandon the foolishness that she previously advocated. That's how you know when someone really loves and cares about you, that they will plead with you like, do not go down this road. But nope. You see, she can't do it. You know why? Because the sisterhood is too strong and the price is too high for her to actually do that. And keep in mind, the sisterhood, it's not a real sisterly bond. You guys know that, right? The bond, it is superficial and surface. And they will lie to each other because in reality, they actually hate each other. Oh, yes. I know y'all think, well, there's the sister code and the queen code, and it's just so much love and support. No, they don't love each other. They hate each other. This is why you never see them hold each other accountable. This is why you never see them denouncing each other's foolishness. You're not going to see that. Because if she was truly reformed, like if she had truly turned over a new leaf, if she had truly remoralized, she would tell these women the truth. But she can't. She can't do it. You know why? Because the feminazis, they've already come for her just for suggesting that women should prioritize, positioning themselves for marriage while they are young. But actually, her words were to prioritize marriage while still in college. But the truth is that most women, they don't want to hear that. The silence of their bad choices, it is too loud. It is too loud and it's too deafening for them to actually admit that they too messed up. So that instead, they will come for her head and clap back because they don't want to hear the truth and they can't handle the truth. So y'all, Ebony, she done hit the wall and she knows it. She knows that deep down inside that she messed up. And all the women that came for her after this monologue, they know that they messed up too. They know it. She knows that the hope of having a family will probably not happen for her. And she has regrets, but she doesn't love these young girls enough to say, bump what the culture is pushing. Girl, don't sign up for this. Don't sign up for this. You don't want this, sis. You need to course correct now and abandon the mission, sis. Nope, she's not saying that. She's not saying that, but even if she did say that, it would be a step in the right direction, but it would still be a deficient message because she's not equipped to show or teach these women what to do instead. Why? Because she don't know. She still doesn't know herself. She has not figured out that she is the problem. So how is she going to teach these young women? How's she going to teach them anything? She don't even realize that it's still her. This woman wants to raise kids, but she doesn't want to build a family. She is not, I can guarantee that, she is not about to relinquish any sort of power dynamic over in her life. She's not going to hand that over to any man. Why? Because she wants her cake now. And she wants to eat it now. She has the bag. But that's it. She has the degrees, but that's it. No man in his right mind is going to bow down to that because it doesn't mean anything to him. Nope. No way. That is exactly why you have her shopping for sperm in the wee hours of the night. Because Ebony suffers from a pathology that most oratchetans on this end of the spectrum, they suffer from what I call the modern woman blues. The modern, and we're going to call it the Mowo blues for short, right? What are the signs of these Mowo blues? It's frustration with finding love and failure from not building a family. That's what's eating away at her and women like this. But because of her oratchetan mentality, she's just gripped with frustration and failure. She has the money, but she can't buy joy and peace of mind. So what ends up happening? When these women get to the Hail Mary status, like in football, what they try to do is they try to take a shortcut versus learning the rudiments of what it means to be a devoted family builder. There's just 2 seconds left on the clock, right? And they like, shoot, just the hell with it. And they just throw the ball. They throw the ball and hope for the best. How do the modern women blues, how does this happen? How do you find yourself in a situation like this? It happens because through the tenets of feminism, I said it earlier, there are tenets of feminism that these women worship. They worship the relentless pursuit of money, power, status, and success. And it's still not enough to give them peace of mind. It's not enough to give them peace of mind, unconditional love, and real joy. Notice that I did not say happiness. I said joy. These women, they sacrifice it all for those things, and they bow down at the altar of materialism. Literally, their worship is at the altar of materialism, and they don't even realize it. They don't realize it until it's too late that they messed up. You messed up, sis. You got the bag, but you fumbled the ball. You got the bag, but you forgot the family. And I am so full with emotion right now, because here's the reality. It is normal, and it has been ordained by God for us, for humans, to be part of relationships. We are relational creatures. Our current, particularly in the West, our current cultural norms of women delaying marriage and motherhood in lieu, hear what I'm saying, in lieu of competing with men for power and prestige, that was never designed to be normative. I'm not saying that everybody has to be married, everybody has to have a family. I did not say that. I said the pursuit of those things, the power and the prestige, in an effort, in lieu of marriage and motherhood, the competition with the men for those things, that's not normative. That is why the culture is so messed up. And then the sad part is that these oratchetans, they know this. They know this in their heart of hearts, and in a last-ditch effort to kind of ameliorate the pain and the frustration of the bad choices that they've made. And because they don't want to die alone, do you know what they do? They go and they do a couple of things. Some of them, they go and they get knocked up by any old body. Or worse, they just go and buy some sperm so that they can have a kid or two, just so that they don't die alone. You guys, these women end up having children, but that's not a family. Let it be known, a husband, a wife, and children together. Yes, I am challenging the status quo. We don't do these reimagined families. Those are the makings of a family. Not two mommies, not two daddies, not a mama by herself, and not even a daddy by himself. Unless the Lord has called your spouse home or some other circumstance, a family has a nucleus. And this idea of single motherhood by choice, that reimagined family, that's not a family. That is a woman who had children, but that is not a family. And I know that rubs some people the wrong way. Sin has gotten in the way, and some of us have choices that we're like, yep, I was just out of order and I didn't do this. This message is not for you. Those of us who've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb and we are on this side of salvation, y'all know I'm not talking about you. Because you don't think like this. You understand that your mind has been renewed and that whatever you did before Christ is because it was because of the indwelling sin. You were spiritually dead in your sin as to why you made those choices. But the remoralized woman, the one that's born from above, she already knows this. So this message doesn't bother her. Why? Because she already knows that the conviction of the Holy Spirit has already brought her to her knees. She already knows that her life is now hidden in Christ. That is not who I'm talking about. Now we have examined where Meatball is on the spectrum, right, of the oratchetan spectrum. But Ebony's on the other end of the oratchetan spectrum. And for many, to the naked, undiscerning eye, you might be wondering why I placed her in the same category as Meatball. But before I tell you why, I got to take a break. Gotta take a quick break. We're going to talk about who's our sponsor for tonight. Let me see. We got the Homeschool Parenting Online Summit 2.0. So October 16th through the 21st, if you are interested, remotely interested in being a home educator, you've got littles or middle schoolers or even a high schooler, and you recognize that this current educational system is trash, and you were looking for a community of support, you're looking for resources, you're looking for some sort of tool to kind of help you navigate this new uncharted territory, I want you to register for this online event. And what I'm going to do, I am going to give you my code as soon as I find it. So y'all sit tight. I got to find my code. And I don't know why I didn't have it up. I should have, but I didn't. So give me one quick second. I'm going to go to this commercial while I find my code. And we will be right back.
The culture around us is consistently deforming our walk with Christ, our worship of God, and our witness of the gospel. This deformation comes through entertainment, politics, secular education, and so on. The call for the church is reformation.
Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Yes. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat.
Look, the girl laughing back there. She think it's a joke. Look, she laughing. Y'all throw that chicken up here on my mom.
A few moments later.
They want me bad. Oh yeah, they gonna pass.
All right, you guys, I think I found my link. Let me go ahead and get it popped in here. I'm sorry. When you're running a one-man show, sometimes stuff doesn't go as planned. So the Homeschool Summit, like I was telling you, here we go. Here is the code so you can register for free. I'm going to pop it in the chat, and then I am also going to put it in the description. How do I do that? Can I do that here? No, let me do it on the YouTube side. I'm going to put it in the description box. I may have already done it. I'm not quite sure. So let me see. Let's see if it's there. Nope, it's not there. All right, here's the link to the Homeschool Summit. And what I'll do, I'll also pin it as a permanent comment at the top. If you are a homeschooling mom, homeschooling dad, homeschooling family, and you are interested in finding support and getting access to resources to help you on this journey, this is not a summit that you want to miss. So go ahead, you can visit the summit, use my code, and that way you can register for free and you don't have to pay. Nope, that's not the summit. There we go. Homeschool Summit, October 16th through the 21st. It is virtual, so you're not having to leave your home and attend. The good thing about this is, though, if you register and you're like, sis, I have to work during the day, I can't watch this during the day or participate, as long as you register, you will get access to the recorded material, but you have to register in advance. So I went ahead and I popped the link in there. I'm going to pop it in there again. And I'm going to star it so that when we're done, you'll be able to go back and find it. So y'all hanging in there? All right. We're going to continue. So we were talking about how to the undiscerning eye, just the naked undiscerning eye. Y'all are probably wondering, why did I place Ebony Williams on a spectrum of behavior as a meatball, right? Like very different outward behavior, but it's very simple. It is very simple why I did it. So like meatball, Ebony cannot manage her own misery. And so she's suffering from something a little different than meatball. But this one on this end, this is the solo sickness, right? We already talked about the modern women blues, but there's also this pathology of the solo sickness. And a lot of times it just comes from being out of order, right? So when you're out of order, she's angry, she's bitter, and she has all of the external trappings that at first glance, right? At first glance, you're like, okay, it can camouflage the oratchetan nature. But here's the thing, do not be deceived. It's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. She is poised. She is successful. However, she is just as chaotic and just as destructive. Just as chaotic, just as destructive, and just as toxic to the culture as a meatball is, right? Just like that, both of these women, they have a level of influence in different spheres, but it's influence nonetheless, right? So one is young, the other one's middle-aged, but they're both on the oratchetan spectrum. Because you see, Ebony believes that she's above the status quo, right? By her own admission, she's relentlessly ambitious. She told you she will stop at nothing to achieve as much success as she believes that she deserves. And she's not going to allow anyone or anything to stand in her way. But she's selfish. She's selfish, she's entitled, and she, like many oratchetans on this end of the spectrum, was probably raised by a woman who didn't give her the tools necessary to be anything else other than a glamorized oratchetan. That's it. That's what she's equipped to do and be. Because she believes that her money, her status, her education, and the career, those are the things that to her make her suitable. But it doesn't. She turns her nose up to the blue collar worker without even realizing that she doesn't bring anything to the table of value to any man. So in her selfishness, she devises wicked plans to become a single mom on purpose because it's not about building a family. It's all about her. And now for a moment, just for the purposes of an illustration, I'm going to colorize this situation just a bit, but I'm doing it to provide a deeper understanding of what I am talking about and how it has impacted society. So let me put it like this. There are oratchetans from every ethnicity. Every ethnicity has them, right? So Brittany Griner, Brittany Renner, that's an oratchetan. Both of them. Two completely different women, both are oratchetans. Sunny Hostin, that's Queen oratchetan right there. Okay, Sierra, oratchetan. Christy Teigen, definitely an oratchetan. Kim Kardashian, oratchetan. Tiffany Cross, most definitely. That's oratchetan behavior right there. Joy Reid and Whoopi Goldberg, that's old auntie oratchetan and big mama oratchetan right there, okay? You got Sha'Carri Richardson, Janelle Monáe, Karine Jean-Pierre, AOC, and Tia Mowry. Y'all, I can go on and on and on. But all of these women are on the oratchetan spectrum, and it spans the rainbow. Notice how none of them are they're not all the same ethnicity. But just for a moment, I need to deal with some more harsh truth. I know y'all like, we can't handle no more. This is just a bit much all at one time, and I get it. But y'all, the ones that share my ethnic image, y'all, we are at the bottom. Yes, we, meaning women that fit this pathology who share my ethnic image, Black women, we are at the bottom. The melanated ones among us that qualify as oratchetans, these women, they are the shallow and the silly among us. And believe it or not, despite them being polar opposites, both Ebony and Meatball, these two types of women, they actually listen to each other. They listen to each other and they affirm each other's foolishness. I'm going to share something real quick. Actually, I'm going to read something. Let me find this. I got to pull it up because I got to read it. Darn, I thought I saved it. Oh, you know what? I know exactly. Believe it or not, I never thought in a million years that I would be sharing content from this YouTuber. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the young Turks. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm back, y'all. Y'all, I'm running this by myself. Be patient. I'm trying to find this video. I thought I had it. Give me a quick second. I think it's on my desktop. Give me a second. Nope. Let me see if it's there. I'm trying to find. I have this video. Is that it? Nope. Let me see. It is a Young Turks video where I was shocked. I normally would never share. I despise that channel, but I was like, for once, these people are on to something. Where is it? I'm going straight to YouTube. I'm gonna find it. Y'all doing okay out there? Let me see. It's a video, but I gotta find it. Hold on. It's not very old. There we go. I just found it. Okay, let me search for it. Young Turks. Hold on. Here we go. Woo! All right. Let me find this. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Let's see. How can I? Let me download this real quick. Hold on. It will only take a hot second. Here we go. Let me download this. And I remember why. The reason why I didn't have it queued up already is because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if we were going to have to deal with a copyright situation, but I think we're okay. So we're going to find out in 4 more, 3 more, 2 more seconds. I'm not going to play the whole video, but here we go. Where's my downloads? Here we go. There we are. Oh, shoot. You know what? It doesn't want to. Okay. It needs to be remuxed. That's what it is. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I don't have time to convert this video. Basically, let me see if there's a way to share it. That's what we'll do. We will share it because I found the video. Let me just try to figure out how to do it. share. What is this? Is this it? No. Here we go. All right. Oh no, she's don't worry. She is on the list. Main camera. That's a funny YouTube handle. She's on the list. It's just that. Can y'all hear that? Wait a minute. Can y'all hear that? Can y'all hear that? I was playing some audio. I just need to know. Oh, y'all can't hear that? Okay. All right. Never mind. Nope, we can't do it that way. Hold on a second. Let's see. No. I'm not playing anything right now. All right. All right, this is what we're gonna do. I really need y'all to hear this. You, but not the video. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It's actually right here. And let's see. No. Let me delete that. And try. Okay, let's see. Can y'all see that? What's on the screen? Can you see that? It's behind. Okay. I don't. Okay. I gotta figure out a way to do this. Because I don't. Can y'all see that? Not yet. Do y'all see? Is it you still see pink? Darn it. Okay. Ah, that's what I want y'all to see. Okay, I gotta figure out a way to make it bigger. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's see. Can y'all see? All right, here we go. Y'all see that?
Now, crying about it. She could also be seen walking with the crowd as they moved from one store to another.
Let me ask if they can
So Deja Blackwell has been charged. She was arrested, as I mentioned. What are the charges? Burglary, conspiracy, criminal trespass, riot, criminal mischief, criminal use of communication facility, receipt of stolen property, and disorderly conduct. The 21-year-old was later bailed out by her mother. That happened early Thursday morning. Unsurprisingly, the influencer with close to 650,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok got some blowback. Luckily, her followers were really not appreciative of her involvement in this. And now Blackwell's lawyer is accusing those criticizing her of racism. Because had that person been white or Latino or Muslim, I mean, the commentary would be different, right? Except it wouldn't. I don't think it would be. The idea that she is now facing criticism and prosecution simply because she happens to be a black woman is ridiculous, and yet another example of providing cover for illegal behavior, bad behavior, by using and weaponizing race. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting when it happens, and I'm sick of it. So let me give you what her lawyer had to say. Her name's Jessica Mann, managing attorney at Shaka Johnson. It sickens me to witness the media's complicity in what can only be described as an all-out assault on black and brown people, as their character and actions are mercilessly vilified. Can you guys cue up the video again, please? We're going to watch it again. I'm going to read that quote again, and then we're going to go to the video again. Let's read the quote again. Jessica Mann is quoted as saying, "It sickens me to witness the media's complicity in what can only be described as an all-out assault on black and brown people as their character and actions are mercilessly vilified." Now let's take a look at the character and actions of Meatball. Let's watch.
Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Yes. Everybody must eat. Free iPhones. Free iPhones. Free iPhones. Look, security running. Oh, what's up? They tracking us. Throw your iPhones. Throw your iPhones.
Now, mind you, the media didn't post that video all over the internet. Meatball posted that video all over the internet. So was Meatball vilifying herself? I would say so. By the way, the lawyer Mann also argued that the media should have focused on how Blackwell was doing nothing more than capturing the raw reality of public outrage when she streamed the events on September 26th. Now, what she's referring to is, the context is a case involving a police shooting. The police officer killed a 27-year-old man by the name of Eddie Irizarry during a traffic stop last month. The police initially said that Irizarry had lunged at the officers while outside of his vehicle, but later admitted that that actually wasn't the case. His family has now filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Blackwell did refer to Eddie at least twice during her live stream, so I want to give you the full context of that. I also want to tell you, I don't care, okay? You don't respond to injustice by looting 18 liquor stores and an Apple store. Okay, and by the way, there were peaceful protests in regard to that situation. And those peaceful protests were not in any way tied to the looters who decided to, exploit the situation in order to engage in the criminality that you just watched. And the reason why I'm so angry about this at this point is because, honestly, our side of the political aisle loves to provide cover for it, and I find it gross, and I'm done doing it. I'm done trying to be understanding toward that perspective. I'm not understanding anymore. It is destroying communities. It is mostly victimizing majority black and brown communities. Stores are shutting down, people are losing their jobs, and then you have these wannabe revolutionaries streaming day in and day out, providing cover for this garbage. I'm not into it. It's stupid, and I'm glad she got arrested. Great.
Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. Y'all heard that, right? Now, y'all know I am nowhere near on the side of the Young Turks in terms of what they advocate for and the content that they make. But there were no lies detected there because she spoke the truth and the broken clock was right that day. You guys, the attorney for Meatball, Jessica Mann, no other attorney would blame what happened to Meatball on racism, except an imbecile-minded, liberally educated attorney who is steeped in loathe, liberation, and lawlessness. This woman will gladly exploit Meatball using a false narrative, creating further destruction to the community they claim to just love and support, because those are my people, right? Meatball is an oratchetan, her mama's an oratchetan, and so is the attorney that is representing her. An entire clan of oratchetans that are swiftly destroying society because they promote and provide cover for lawlessness and debauchery. And if the chick on the Young Turks is done, how do you think I feel? How do you think I feel? I don't even need to see the attorney's face and what she looks like to know. Remember, And oratchetan refers to the mindset, not the dermal features. However, for the record, her attorney, Jessica Mann, happens to be a black woman. So, in what ways, based on what I've presented tonight, does feminism breed and encourage oratchetan behavior? That's the big question that I want to ask. I want to ask and have you answer tonight. In what ways do feminism breed and encourage oratchetan behavior? I got 2 words for you. Tia Mowry. Tia Mowry. Now, to flesh this out, we need to take a look. We got to go back. We got to take a look at Tia Mowry. Now, I know Meatball was a piece of work. I know she was a piece of work, and it was easy for you guys to see why I would put her, or where I would put her on the oratchetan spectrum. We talked about Ebony K, and she was a little more challenging to see, but now that I've explained it, I am positive that now you can see why she too must be placed on the oratchetan spectrum. But Tia is the biggest oratchetan of them all. And do you want to know why? Because she actually broke up a whole family for no other reason than not being able to manage her own misery. She placed her happiness above the needs of her forever family. That's what we're going to call it. Tia had what's called a forever family. Tia had what should have been a forever family. When we go back and examine, she married young, and she didn't marry for money, but she married because Corey was a good, solid dude. He demonstrated over time that he was just a good, solid dude. There was no bells and whistles, nothing fancy pants about him. Am I still echoing, you guys? I apologize. Let me know if that sounds a little better. If there's a sound issue, let me know. When did the sound issue start? Do I need to go back? Do I need to summarize what I was saying? Thank you so much. That's my girl. My sis. Girl, I'm going to call you. We got to catch up. We got to talk. So glad to see you tonight. This right here, this sister, there's a lot that I could say. But what Shamika's on the path. She is on the path to the type of woman that I am going to introduce to you guys as a devoted family builder in training. Absolutely love her. The growth, the mindset is right. Y'all don't know her, but I do. The mindset is right. Y'all take notes, but anyway. No need to backtrack. Okay, great. So Tia, she's just a good, solid dude. Like I said, it was nothing fancy pants. Everybody knew, yes, Tia was making more money, but that was a good, solid dude. Now, I know the feminazis and the hyenas have their thoughts and opinions about Corey. You can't judge their assessment about what a good man is because they don't know. So don't even listen to the culture and what the naysayers are saying about how Corey is, just wanting her money. Listen, we're going to get into another show about that. But here's what I want to say. What over time, Tia started to dibble and dabble in deceit. And you can see it if you pay attention and you watch her progression and her evolution. Feminism defeated her being a wife and a mom because now these kids don't have a family infrastructure. They don't have a solid, healthy family infrastructure. And how do you have a family and then tear it up because you want to go and get happy? Because that's what happened. We have listened to her whine and moan and pontificate about her happy. Right? Tia Mowry, when it comes to being on the oratchetan spectrum, she is all the way on the right side. All the way on the end, on the right side in the home wrecker category. She, despite how sweet and melancholy and bubbly that she is, she's worse than Ebony Williams. She's worse. She is worse than Ebony. And why? Why do I say that? Because she actually had a family. This woman had a whole family, but because she couldn't manage her misery, she decided to go and break up a whole home so that she could chase happy. Like through a series of life circumstances, and hear me clearly, life happens. People, you experience it on this journey of life, particularly in a marriage. You have these stages and these milestones, right? When you're married, you might have the death of a loved one. You might have to go through the season where one or both of you are dealing with aging parents. You might go to the season where one of your teenagers is just wilding out and you're trying to learn and figure out and navigate through that. It might be a health challenge or a sickness. Marriage comes with life's challenges. I get it. But through a series of life circumstances and exposure to feminism by way of Hollyweird, not Hollywood, Hollyweird. And I'm going to throw social media into this. Hollyweird, life circumstances, and social media. This woman, y'all, she started smoking hopium and she got addicted. Yep, I said it. Hopium. Hopium. Let me spell it for you in case you missed it. Let's see here. Hopium. This is the new lexicon that I'm trying to expose you to. I know you're sitting there trying to figure out, April, what is hopium? What is that? Do we buy hopium? Do we grow it at home? Is it hydroponic? No. Hopium is a psychedelic psychological drug that you can't snort or physically smoke, but it plays on the mind. It's a sin-laden drug designed to deceive you and cause you to make irrational and illogical decisions. And hopium is tricky, right? Hopium is tricky because it preys on those who are spiritually dead and those who are of their father, the devil. Some people might call it just the vices of life or just the temptations or the cares of the world. But at the end of the day, it's rooted. It comes straight from the pits of hell. You see, we know that the Bible teaches us that the fear of the Lord, right, is the beginning of wisdom. And scripture tells us in Proverbs 1:7 that it's fools despise wisdom and instruction. They don't have an appetite for it. They despise it. And since we know that oratchetans are those who lack sense, let me show you the definition again in case you missed it. Can you see it? They can't manage their misery. The mindset and behavior, imbeciles, meaning they lack sense. When these oratchetans get high on hopium, it makes them do stupid stuff. Just out here doing stupid stuff. Hopium makes you believe and hope that you're going to be happier out there if you just prioritize yourself and put yourself first. Hopium gets you so high to where you actually believe in the hope that you'll be able to do better and find something better out there at 45 with 2 kids instead of working to continue to build and nurture and strengthen the family that you already have. Hopium does that. Hopium will have you believing that you need to graduate from your marriage and that you're doing it for the children. That hopium puts those kinds of thoughts in your mind. That you are somehow an inspiration to your children for choosing yourself over the family. You guys, she actually said this. She said this. Hopium, this is why I know she's smoking hopium. Hopium convinces you that you will be so much more happier alone on the open dating market than with your husband and the father of your children together under one roof as a family. Hopium says we can reimagine this family. Hopium is what's guiding the women that when they announce their divorce, that they love one another and they respect one another. And you know, we're doing what's best for the children and we're going to co-parent together and everything's going to be just fine. That's hopium. That's hopium. You guys, scripture declares that wisdom is trying to appeal to you. You, the simple one, the oratchetan, the one high off of hopium. And when it sees you, wisdom personified, when it sees you high on hopium, how it will call out to you loud in the streets, warning you against the foolishness and the folly of your ways. But no, how will you listen? And how you ignore the wisdom's counsel, and how eventually when the calamity comes like a whirlwind, when the terror of your stir-fried foolishness marinated and done, when it comes to bite you, wisdom, the scriptures say, wisdom will not answer. Wisdom will say, I'm sorry, who is this? This is what wisdom does. Wisdom be like, hello, I can't hear you. Who is this again? Wisdom is like, I ain't got no bars. Wisdom has no bars. It can't hear you. Proverbs tells us that when you fail to heed wisdom, the voice of wisdom, and when you despise knowledge and you reject the fear of the Lord, you end up eating the fruit of your own way. That's what it said. Let me read it to you. Let me read it to you real quick. Sometimes you got to hear the word of the Lord declared and read out loud to make it plain. Wisdom goes, because I have called and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded. Because you've ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. This is wisdom personified, laughing. It's not an actual person, but this is how the scriptures, the Solomon in his wisdom explains what happens when you reject fear of God, the knowledge of the Holy One, and wisdom when it's calling out to you. It says, I will laugh at your calamity and will mock when terror strikes like a storm. And your calamity comes like a whirlwind when distress and anguish come upon you. Then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel, and despised all my reproof. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their way and have their fill of their own devices. For the simple are killed by their turning away. This when they just like, I don't want to hear that. That's old fashioned. That's traditionalism. That's what that is. And the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will dwell secure and will be at ease without dread of disaster. That was Proverbs 1. I read 24, verses 24 through 33. That's what I just read. So it's saying here that when you despise knowledge and you reject the fear of the Lord, you end up eating the fruit of your own way. This is the path of those who live in a scriptureless society. You have the fill of your own devices. And you see, the way of wisdom and the way of foolishness, that's a shared reality. Each of those, they work according to its nature. So a person's actions both manifest the state of the heart and also shape it further in the way and manner in which a person will walk. So the direction of each path indicates the end to which it's headed. So those who refuse to listen to wisdom's reproof, those are the ones who walk in the way that will ultimately produce for their own consumption the very fruit that they offered to others, the fruit of calamity, the fruit of terror, and the fruit of destruction. You guys, Tia stopped following the way of wisdom and stopped loving her family and started listening to the lies of Leviathan. Now, y'all know I'm not a charismatic. So before you start going crazy thinking what you think I mean when I start saying Leviathan, Leviathan is the name that I've given the vile and wicked and perverse spirit that infiltrates the minds of women who are not rooted and grounded in the truth of Scripture and who are indoctrinated and tutored by the lies of feminism. So when I speak of Leviathan, no, I am not saying that the Lord told me and gave me that name in the spirit realm. I'm not naming it as if that's the name of some specific demon. That's not what I mean. Contextually, that's not what I'm saying. It's merely a euphemism. It's an archetype. It's a symbol to explain the demonic spirit that is at work, which the root cause is indwelling sin. So I'm not some weird, quirky, charismatic. So don't call me asking me how to get rid of the spirit of Leviathan that's making you do dumb stuff. No, that's all you, right? You and all of these women, all of us at some point, we had a sin problem. Okay, indwelling sin is the issue. But these women, dead in their sins, and their hearts are unguarded. Their minds have not been renewed by the power of the Holy Spirit, and therefore their minds are vulnerable. Their minds are vulnerable to these Marxist manipulative tactics, and all of this stems from a doctrine of demons that's been allowed to flourish in our culture because women have abandoned their natural God-ordained roles, and they've exchanged what Romans 1 says, they've exchanged the truth about God for a lie. And then it goes on to say they instead worshiped and served the creature rather than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. That's what Romans 1 teaches. You guys, they're worshiping themselves. They're worshiping themselves. They're worshiping crystals. They are adopting these new age practices in search of their higher self. And then they're teaching other women to love yourself first, as if your love of self is your highest and greatest calling. These women, they just they run to each other, running to other miserable oratchetan, particularly oratchetan therapists, Who convinced them that, you know, what you need to do to, you know, manage your misery? You need to divorce your husband and just start over with a clean slate, you know? Just start over. You got to live for you, you know? Just graduate from your marriage. These people, they've got these women out here labeling social media posts as new beginnings, right? Under the guise of happy or hashtag happiness. It's happiness or the illusion of happiness. That is one of the main demonic lies of the serpent, right? What type of happiness can you achieve by breaking up your family? I mean, it's just a question. What kind of happiness can you achieve by claiming that you are breaking up your home for the children so that they can see how brave you are? What kind of happiness is met when your children no longer have their mother and their father together in the home, figuring life out together? No, it's not gonna be perfect. Yes, marriage comes with burdens and problems that you can't foresee into the future, but you work it out together. What kind of happiness is there when you've got to figure out, you know, what to do or where to go for the holidays, or how are you going to introduce your new boo to your kids? That ain't happiness. That's chaos. This wicked feminism has women out here adopting this retarded boss babe mentality that does nothing but lead them down the path to more chaos. It's just chaos reaping more chaos. These women are idolizing money and a lifestyle. It's idolizing this freedom and no accountability. And for many women, not necessarily including Tia, just many women, this type of life is not even tangible, because most of these women, they have never lived this life personally. Now, she's got money, so she's been exposed to the finer things of life. So we're going to move it aside from her. They've seen it on TV. They've seen somebody else, you know, on their timeline live this life, but they're just enamored with an idea. It's the figment of their delusional imaginations. I'm going to just say it. Here's the truth. You can't be a forever boss babe, okay? Like, or a forever boss chick. You just can't. Don't believe me? Look at Madonna. You know you crazy when you can fool yourself into believing that you look fine and that everything is normal. It's this empty behavior validation. The social media posts of these women thirst trapping at 45 years old. It's just, I call it mass delusion and psychosis. And if you're not careful, if you don't watch your circle, when you start hanging around these women and you see them do it, you be like, you know, this is a good idea. Let me go ahead and let me thirst trap too. You follow one another. They are out here doing these stupid dances in hopes to garner some sort of attention and validation for their sea of invisible friends. And what happens is, when the hearts and the empty comments of yes, girl, do you, like when those start to flow, they start getting gassed up in the head, and it just makes them do more of it. They're like, you know, I got a real good response in that one. Let me do another one, right? And so the more of it that they do, the deeper into despair and delusion they sink. They just, and it's just out. Everybody in the world, they're soaking it in, they're taking it in, but the despair and the delusion, they just sink deeper and deeper. Y'all, these oratchentans, particularly the ones who share my ethnic image, they're the ones that are pushing this black girl magic garbage. And that's what exactly, it's garbage. It is trash. They are the ones that are destroying the fabric of society and decimating American culture as we know it. These are the ones that are nuking the nuclear family. You know, there's nothing magical about living your life as an unruly, menacing, and thuggish individual. There's nothing magical about recording yourself on social media, acting like a wild beast, hollering in the street, talking about everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. There's nothing magical about that. Nothing. There's nothing magical about acting a fool inside a Walmart when confronted for your lawlessness. And then crying racism when your behind is laid out in the middle of the floor handcuffed because in a violent rage, you decided to punch a police officer in the face. How is that magical? How is that magical? There's nothing magical about throwing blue-collar men under the bus, claiming about not being able to find a man on your level. You know, he's not on my level. And then being arrogant and dismissive about it. There's nothing magical about telling the world about how you've frozen your eggs and come hell or high water, you are going to have a kid on purpose without the benefit of marriage because there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you, but rather something is wrong with all of the men. That's not magic. There's nothing magical about talking about all the love and the resources that you have to give and how you're bidding on sperm and plan to have a child anyway because you think you deserve one. There is nothing magical about that or being delusional and self-centered, divorcing your husband for no other reason than you just want to start a new chapter in your life, forgetting the fact that you had an honor and a duty and a covenant of marriage vows. A covenant, a forever covenant, and those kids deserved to have a forever family. You guys, my goal tonight wasn't to attack a person, but to address and attack public behavior and their choices. That part, yes, that part was done on purpose. I will not apologize for it. I will do what I do, and I am committed to exposing the wickedness of mud culture and the pathology of the oratchetan, because we can't even get to the solution if we are not crystal clear on what the problem is. And I get it. Tonight, I had to expose the villains of this foolishness. And it wasn't pretty. Oh, it was ugly. It was ugly looking at a whole grown woman in a bathtub of dirty water with a beanie on her head. That wasn't pretty. And the reason why I have to do it is because in the weeks ahead, I plan to take all of you on a journey with me. Let me be clear. Oratchetans, they're ruled by the God of this world, and they have bought into Satan's lies and have submitted themselves to the lordship of the devil. Okay? Just like Jesus said that the Pharisees, their father was of the devil, their father is the devil, and the deeds of their father, they will undoubtedly do. That's just a fact. That's the word of God. You don't have to like it. We're not going to sanitize this. We must reject the idolatry, the illegitimacy, and the spiritual illiteracy that is plaguing our culture like it's a pandemic. Because you guys, the truth is, we can do better by not listening to feminism. We can do better by not mimicking oratchetan behavior, both on the left side of the spectrum with the mult culture, and especially on the right side, with moving toward the feminazis and the black girl magic and the home wreckers. By rejecting feminism and all of its tenets, you guys, we can start down the path of remoralizing our communities. Right? Not a mere behavior modification, but can you imagine what happens when women hear the message of this is what's wrong And here is the path to wholeness and healing. And not only here's the path, but I'm going to walk alongside you on that path. Can you imagine if we start all living that out for the world to see how much of an impact that makes just in your small little community, on your job, in your homeschool group, just being different, being a breath of fresh air. You guys, I know this was a long show. Tonight, you've learned all about the oratchetan and how the species of oratchetans can be placed on a spectrum. I demonstrated that to you. Let me show it to you one more time so you can see it. This is the oratchetan spectrum, right? Okay? That's your spectrum. And you learned about that it's not about dermal features. Right? Dermal meaning skin, epidermis. It's not external, but rather it's the mentality and the behavior that makes someone an oratchetan. I spent a good amount of time. You've learned that the mutt culture, the menacing, the unruly, the thuggish culture is at the root of this oratchetan behavior, and that all kinds of women can be menacing and unruly and thuggish. And it's not specific to one ethnicity, right? Because for the women on the left side of the spectrum, they so far gone that building a family it's not even on the table for them, because one, they don't even know what a family is. Okay, so we're just gonna be 100. I'm not saying they're too far gone. The grace of God can reach anybody, no matter how far they've gone. But what I'm saying is, at this point, the idea of them building a family in the state that they're in, that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. That you don't have to like it, but it's not going to happen. Now, for the women on the right side of the spectrum, many of them have or had families, but because of their oratchetan mindset, they're effectively contributing to the destruction of their own families, or they are perpetuating and promoting toxicity in the culture that produces more demoralized families. These are your Gabrielle Unions. These are your Jada Pinkett Smiths. These are your Tia Mowrys, right? Even your Hillary Clintons, right? Your Whoopi Goldbergs, your Anna Navarros. They're the ones contributing to more demoralized families. Your Bruce Jenner, he not even a woman, and I got him on the oratchetan spectrum. Let's just keep it 100, okay? And here is a message for the men. The ones of you who've been so patient with me. How long I've been on here 2 hours and 37 minutes. But I actually have a message for you too. And I hope you guys hear me and hear me clearly. You cannot build anything with oratchetans. These women will ruin your life. They are unfit for marriage. They are unfit for motherhood. They are too selfish. They are too chaotic. They are too delusional and too out of order. They are not worth giving them your hand in marriage, and they are not worthy of bearing your children. You are hearing this from a woman. I'm looking you dead in the eye, and I mean this with every fiber of my being. They will steal your essence and your worth, and they will leave you broken, battered, and bitter. If you are here on this live stream and I hold no authority over you, this is just your sister in the Lord, your homegirl from around the way with the ear. That's it. You can take the advice, or you be like, I ain't gonna listen to her. That's fine. But if you are a man of masculine exceptionalism, it is incumbent upon you to pursue a woman who is rooted and grounded in Scripture. And that only happens when she has first submitted herself to the lordship of Jesus. That's just a fact. Because if she is submitted to the lordship of Jesus, then she will submit to you. And I'm not talking about a woman who just knows how to do religious activity and talk the Christianese lingo. I'm not talking about her. She knows all the Christianese lingo, but she basically lives her life marching to the beat of her own drum. Not that woman. Don't be fooled by her. They're tricky. You got to be real careful. Is she ruled by the authority of Scripture? Or does she take her cues from the culture? What does she watch? Who is she listening to? Is she trying to keep up with what the culture is doing and what all of her girlfriends are doing? Or is she perfectly comfortable standing alone? Not being lonely, but just comfortable standing alone, rejecting the culture, rejecting what the world says. This is who you are, and this is what you should be doing, and you should be wearing this. When you place her picture side by side with the Instagram orachentans, does she stand out because she looks nothing like them? Or does she blend right on in with them? Like you just like in a lineup, you like, wow, yeah, she kind of do look like these. Just a simple test. Does she listen to what you have to say and then allow you to make decisions? Or is she steadily trying to emasculate you and one-up you and just tell you how much she knows about this, that, and the third? I'm not talking about getting a crash dummy who's brainless and brain dead. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about, does she take over and do everything her way all of the time? Does she sacrifice for the greater good of the family? Or does it always have to be about what she wants and what she needs? You're always whining, you're not here for me and you're not doing this. Like all that. I'll be talking more and more about this in the weeks to come. But for now, gentlemen, the message is simple. Avoid the oratchentans, okay? Definitely the ones on the left. Like, I shouldn't have to tell you that, but it needs to be on record. The ones on the left, yes, but most certainly do not get caught out there by the ones on the right side of the spectrum either. I'm telling you, I was talking with my husband earlier today, and oftentimes when I have to prepare for a show like this, we take these trips down memory lane, because when I'm going over, what I want to say and the thoughts that I want to get out, it starts to remind us of how when we met, the things that stood out to us about one another that let us know that you're on the right path. And he was telling me how a lot of times with this modern construct where women are constantly focused on your pockets. Well, how much money does he make? Is he a six-figure guy? What does he do for a living? Like, they're concerned with all of those external trappings. And he told me that, I know that right now, particularly over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of conversation about women and wanting, this high value man, and they're being so focused on the money. But he was like, years ago, like when I was courting you, he said, you were the only one who took a genuine interest in who I was and what I did. He said, when I met you, I was doing my woodworking and my carpentry, and he was doing it on the side as he worked his regular job. He's like, do you know how many chicks I dated? They all knew, and nobody ever asked, was ever concerned, or ever cared when I said I had to go to the shop. It just went right over their head. And I'm just like, okay. They never cared. He said, but you, from the moment that I told you, oh, I got to go to the shop, you were like, ooh, what's the shop? Just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I was like, well, what do you do at the shop? And he's like, I'm just making wood stuff. I was like, oh, I I'd like to come. He was like, I mean, like, you want to come out? You gonna come out there? And I was like, yeah, I'll come after work. Then change my clothes. Wasn't prepared, just straight from work. I was like, okay, shoot me the address. We had, I think we had like the little Garmin GPSs back then. You didn't have it on the phone with the turn by turn. You needed to know where you were going. And y'all, his shop was at his brother's house, and it was just so many turns. I was like, I'm lost. He was like, no, just keep making all those turns. And I pulled up, and I, hop out of my little, we called it the Green Ghost, my little Camry that was smoking every time you accelerated. You just coughed, you just act like you didn't see it. I was 25 and just doing my thing. And I showed up to the shop, and I get out the car, and I'm like, ooh, look, I was impressed. It was all this equipment. I didn't know what this equipment did. And I'm asking questions. Well, what does this piece right here do? So what do you do with this? And, okay, so you push the wood through this. And, so that's how you put the pocket holes in. I am genuinely inquisitive. I'm just enamored. I'm like, you make stuff. Like, you take just wood and you turn it into things. You guys, I had no idea the level of impact that this was making during the course of this courtship. He was just the fine dude that I saw in the club, and I was like, I'm trying to get to know him. Now, yes, I was without Christ, so obviously I wanted to know him, but I wanted to know him. Who is this man? What is he about? What makes him tick? What is that thing that gives him that sparkle in his eye that brings him joy? What is he good at? I wanted to learn all about it. And y'all, I was there. And this was in the fall, because we met in October. So this may have been like November-ish, and it starts getting a little chilly. And he's like, are you cold? I'm not cold. No, I'm not cold. This little space heater is just fine. I'm sitting there. Wood is flying everywhere. He's like, you're not going to put a mask on? At that point, it was too late. I had inhaled so much sawdust. Throat was on fire. But I was like, you know what? It's fine. I later regret that, because the next day I couldn't swallow. And there was so much phlegm. Like, my body was literally, I was coughing up. You could see the sawdust. And he was like, I am so sorry. He was like, yeah, I was trying to tell you, to put the mask on, but you was just so off into it. I'm picking up wood and I'm slinging it over my shoulder. And I'm just off into it. And he told me this morning, he was like, I'm in Lowe's. And he said, I noticed something. He said, I'm here in Lowe's, and there's this Hispanic guy, kind of short, and he's got all this wood that he's picking up, and he was like, you know who was there with him? His Maria. We don't know if that's her name. We're just going to call him his Maria. Maria was right there, her little self, she helping him load this wood up. She pushing. They were doing it together. And I told Robert, I said, you know what I realized? They're not exposed to this American culture, this Instagram life where everything has to be about the money and the prestige and the glam. I said, one, all they have is each other, because there's probably a language barrier. She don't know the language. He don't know the language. One of them have to decide who's going to learn this language faster so we can survive. And she's just right there. She's just right there being a devoted family builder. That is the messaging that I am going to start bringing to you guys. I want to be the one. The next time I have to address this topic, I'm going to provide the solution to the problem of the oratchetan. Yes, I needed a whole show I needed to tear them a new one, because they needed it. They needed to feel the pain and the shame of their behavior. And you guys needed to have it exposed in raw authenticity so you can see just how bad it really is out here. And I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of this topic. And I don't want to rush it. It is going to take some time, but at minimum tonight, I needed to unpack the villains. I needed to unpack the villains because one of the main reasons why I started this podcast was because I didn't want to just talk about these issues. Talking about it is easy. I could talk all day about the foolishness in the culture, but rather I want to play an integral part in providing a viable and attainable solution. You guys, my conscience is held captive to the word of God. And while I have this platform for however long the Lord allows, I am committed to discipling women, particularly younger ones, who are ready. Y'all, like, I am ready to abandon this foolishness and I want to do something different because I've tried it the other way and the path that I was on, it wasn't taking me anywhere. I was going nowhere fast. You guys, some of the women out there who end up listening to this message, the solutions that I intend to provide in the weeks ahead, it's simply not for some of them. Some of them, they're just not for them. It is not what they want. It is not who they are, or at least not in their current state. And that is okay. It's perfectly fine because in order for me to abandon the reckless road that I was on, something had to happen to me. I had to change. I didn't come out the womb being wise and wanting to be a devoted family builder. You guys, I was on the oratchetan spectrum. I was there. I've talked about the oratchetan behavior of me wanting to fight a whole grown man just because I disagreed with him. Or thinking that abortion was a viable option to limit your exposure to an unwanted child. My mind was corrupted. I was not wise. I was foolish. I was sinful. I was wicked. I was demoralized. You guys, I had to abandon what I knew and the way that I thought was right in my own eyes. And I had to embrace something else. So we're going to talk about it. But tonight, we're not going to talk about it right now, but we are definitely going to talk about it. Because the change that has to happen, you can't do this by yourself. You cannot walk this path alone because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. For those of you, particularly if you are a new convert, you need a roadmap. You need a roadmap that is guided by scripture, where scripture is the compass. And you need other godly women who have walked down this path, who have built their own families, not just by the sweat of their brow, but by the power and conviction and the leading of the Holy Spirit. I see in so many of you, you are ready for this. Your mind, the Lord is already renewing your mind and he is shaping your worldview, and you are abandoning the shallow and the silly, and you are picking up new tools. I see it. I've met some of you. I see the genuine desire of your heart for you to recognize I'm moving forward. We're not going to focus on what happened back there. We're going to lay it down at the foot of the cross and we're going to move forward, but it requires a change must happen. And this is even to the women who you're like, I already know who I am in Christ, but truth be told, I don't know what I'm out here doing. I haven't a clue what I'm supposed to be looking for, the woman that I should be. I've adopted some of Lucifer's language and the ways that the culture views being a wife and being a mother and just viewing relationships. My mind has to be renewed. I am so ready to walk alongside you and pray with you and study to see what do the scriptures teach about this. And there are going to be times on that journey it's going to hurt a little bit. It's kind of like when you go into an old house and you're like, we're going to rehab the house. And you go in for the first time and it's cobwebs everywhere and you duck in and you like, because, you know, the cobwebs are in your face and the floorboards are cracking and it's dust everywhere and they left an old rug down and you start patting the rug and shaking it out. Now you're coughing because it's dust everywhere. It gets worse before it gets better. That's what we want. We want the dust up. We want the coughing and the hacking. We want you, sometimes you're going to have to run out the house to catch some fresh air, and then you're going to come back in because it's going to be a little cleaner than it was before. And you may have to run out the house again just to breathe a little bit and just to, because there's going to be times on the journey where your deeply held presuppositions are going to be challenged, but you are going to come out refined like pure gold. And I am here for all of it. So right now, I'm curious to know, did you guys have any questions? I want to engage. I want to engage with some of these comments and address those of you, the pushback, the encouragement. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. Right, sanctified by the washing of the word. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's funny. Let's see. So somebody implied that I'm tap dancing for white conservatives. That is hilarious. That is funny. I don't know what that means, but I don't know what that means. Because the truth is not bound by these existential realities of our color. That is the problem. Too many of us have succumbed and we ascribe our value and our worth and how we should be showing up in the world based on what we look like. That is one construct that I'm tearing down. I'm tearing it down. I'm sick of the colorism. I am tired. I've had to reform and refine my own languaging, particularly when I refer to Christians or the black church or the white church. No. We're not doing any of that over here anymore. You guys, this is a new day. And if you're here for the ride, yay. And if you're not, you know, if you think I'm tap dancing for the white man, okay. Well, get me some new tap shoes so we can get the going, because I owe allegiance to no man. I am here as a representative for Christ and Christ alone. I represent my husband, and I go forth representing my family, and we're going to create and replicate other women who desire to build a family, not want a wedding. I don't want y'all and y'all just want a man so you can have a wedding. This ain't for you. I'm looking for women who want to build a family where you have a commitment to be devoted and build a family, not for you, not for yourself, but for your progeny, your generations to come. We are changing the narrative. We're changing the narrative, and we're doing something different because this world has nothing to offer us. And we can continue to go the way of Baal and do what the world is out here doing. But I want to hear, well done, thy good and faithful servant. I don't care what the culture has to say about it. I don't even care what those in the visible church have to say about it, because I wouldn't have to do this if they spend less time pimping prosperity and lying to women about their best life now and actually taught what it means to be a wife. Because in some of these churches, you already know it ain't happening. I know y'all ready. Yes, sis. Love it. That's my other girl. Love you, sissy. I do. Christ is the answer. He is the answer. However, when the Lord saved me and arrested my heart and brought me to my knees, there were things I needed to learn on that journey. And there were women that I learned it from. Women who loved the Lord and who were already living and modeling before me what it meant to be a devoted family builder. We're meant to live in community. And as a Titus 2 woman, we are to teach the younger women to love their husbands and their children, to be a model of good behavior so that we don't bring reproach on the name of Christ. Like I said, this message is not for everybody, and that's good. The way is already narrow, which leads to eternal life. So that's a good one. Is it possible for you to have a show on how to be a godly wife and a godly husband? I am in talks with Mr. Chapman. We are working on something super, super big to where that is definitely on the horizon. And so, yes, great question. We're going to be doing it. And it's going to be amazing. Right. So someone said they act like pulling a coon card is supposed to scare. Have you seen me? If y'all met me in person, do I look like the one that's scared? Like, somebody call me a coon, I'm just going to crumble. Like, I'm going to just look at you like, you funny. Listen, names don't bother me. I know who I am in Christ. I get affirmation from my one flesh partner every single day. My children look to me with sparkle in their eye, even when I'm disciplining them. I don't need affirmation from invisible friends. You calling me a coon? I eat coons for breakfast. Listen, no, that's y'all. We're gonna have to come better than that. Any questions? If you don't have any questions, it is right at the 3-hour mark. You guys, I got to figure out a way how to chop this up because this is a lot. It is difficult to consume in one sitting. So what I might do is break it up in 1 hour is a lot. 1 hour is I will figure it out, but I will cut this up in smaller, digestible segments so that you guys can share the segment that resonates with you the most or resonates with your friend community. And we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Yes, those invisible friends. That's the social media peeps. Let me go ahead and talk about, let's see. We talked about the homeschool parenting summit, right? We talked about that. You guys, the G3 app, G3 Plus, is live on the App Store. Let me get my code for you guys because where did I put it? Here it is. This code right here, if you go to g3men.org to sign up for G3 Plus, you can download the app onto your device. But to get the 2 months free, you have to enroll from the website. My code is Chapman G3 Plus. You can get 2 months free. You guys, particularly those who are going to be walking on this journey with me toward being a devoted family builder, you are going to need access to sound doctrine and trustworthy voices that are going to help supplement your sanctification and your spiritual growth. That is an excellent place to start. G3men.org, the G3 Plus app. I've shown the ad at the beginning of the show, and I'll probably close out with that ad as well. You definitely need to get that in your life. I've got 2 products of the day to help supplement tonight's show. This one is called Emotions of the Heart, and I don't know if I don't have a graphic for it, but you can access this book study. It is $20 on my website, standardhomeandliving.com. Let me go ahead and, there you go, standardhomeandliving.com. So you guys, I am committed to providing you guys with resources that I've already vetted and that I trust, that is going to help you on this healing journey. So this one, Emotions in the Heart. Remember how I talked about the oratchetan is just unsettled, unstable, chaotic in the brain, just emotional and delusional? We already know the scripture sets you straight, right? Scripture will set you straight. However, to kind of guide you and navigate you on that journey, this book study is super important because what it does, it allows you, it maps out a plan for you to deal with the emotions that are complex, not denying or suppressing the fact that God gave you these emotions. That's not the idea at all. But learning how sometimes your emotions need to be interrupted, and you need to have a biblical understanding of your emotions. It talks about love. It talks about anger. It deals with the emotion of jealousy, right? How to journal through those emotions, and then hope. Not hopium, legitimate hope that's rooted in Christ and rooted in Scripture. So get you this. This is on sale for $20. And then this is a book study on the book of James. This is another resource. It's the product of the day. And if you know anything about the book of James, it is like a treatise to helping the believer understand what it means to live a steadfast life. There's aspects of James that talk about our speech and how we are to engage. There are aspects of the book of James that tell you, yes, faith without works is dead. Yes, we have faith, but the reason why we know that we are justified by our faith and not our works is because we've been justified, the works come. So we're not doing good works to earn right standing with God, but rather these good works, the changes that you see in us that bring God glory, they come because something has already happened to us. So this is, I want to say this is a 6-week study, but let me verify it. You guys, I have so many of these new products that I've introduced that sometimes I get them confused. Oh no, this is a 7-week study. James, as small of a book as James is, this is a 7-week study because it takes some time to get through the book of James. As you can also see, I've got my glass coffee mugs. These are some of my favorites. This one is Holy and Hood. That means pray with me, don't play with me. It's just a cute little saying, you guys. I am not implying that we're supposed to be wavering between two opinions. For the spiritually mature, y'all know this is a joke. Y'all know what I mean. But if this is a stumbling block for you, like if you really think that you're supposed to be holy and hood, maybe you shouldn't get this one, okay? I don't know. But anyway, yes, self-control. That is all that I had for you tonight. I'm so appreciative that you've chosen to join me tonight. It's 11 o'clock. Oh my goodness. No nose itching tonight. Vic sent me something. I was looking at it quickly, but I don't know. But my nose did good tonight. We didn't have too many audio problems. I'm grateful for that. But outside of that, you guys, I need to grow on Twitter. Right now, Twitter is literally the one space where I can freely say a whole lot of things that I cannot say on Facebook. Facebook, actually, you guys, I didn't even tell you this. A week ago, Facebook deactivated the Standard of Truth podcast page. And they didn't even tell me why. And I appealed it. And then 5 minutes later, they're like, oh, we're sorry, my bad. Like, what? I don't even post on that page that much. Mind you, when you have a Facebook business page, it rates the health of your page, and my page was rated excellent. So how do you go from being rated excellent to we've unpublished your page to then when I appeal it, and I didn't even give an explanation as to the appeal. I was just like, I don't agree with this decision. They were like, oh, we sorry. So I don't have time for these games, okay? So I need to grow on Twitter. So what I need you to do is go to... Yeah, I didn't have Twitter either, but at this point I need it because Elon is that dude and he is allowing free speech for now. So my voice needs to be amplified over there so that this type of messaging can be spread. So if you don't have Twitter, I get it. But if you do have a Twitter, I need you to go ahead and follow me on Twitter, because once I hit a certain number of followers on Twitter, I'll be able to get access to some additional features that Twitter offers. So that is my next goal, is to grow on Twitter. Also Instagram, I mean, that's a Facebook product. So it's nice, but I don't care. Facebook, I have it just for the sake of letting people know what I have going on, but YouTube is where it's at. And then I'm working on some other things behind the scenes. I don't know if you guys mentioned, I have talked about censorship and how YouTube, we don't know how long we are going to be allowed to have the voice and the presence as believers on a platform like YouTube. And so I've already got things in the works to where I won't even need YouTube. In case I go radio dark, y'all will already know how to find me and stay connected with me, because I am building something, a whole nother platform outside of YouTube. And I'm going to be rolling that out pretty soon. So it doesn't mean YouTube is going away. What it means is that YouTube will serve its purpose, but it will not be the end all be all of the Standard of Truth podcast because of bona fide censorship. It's a thing. They mess with the algorithm all of the time. If they don't like what you're saying, you'll be subscribed, but you won't get a notification. You won't see me in your homepage and your mentions. And so we've got to be one step ahead. We've got to be wise in how we operate and move in the marketplace, even as believers. YouTube doesn't owe us anything. Right? I'm privileged to be on the platform, but it's their platform. So when they choose to yank the plug, I mean, I can be mad about it, or I can say, why didn't you prepare? Why weren't you like the ant and you were planning, right? Planning ahead for what's to come. We already know it's coming. And so I'm planning. So I hope you guys will continue to support the platform. We are growing and our reach is expanding. But to do the things that we need to do, it's going to require a solid, loyal community. I am not looking, if the Lord blesses me with 500,000 subscribers, that's great. But to me, it is not about the number of subscribers. It is about the impact and the change that is tangibly happening in people's lives. That's what it is all about. So, I think that was all. If you have not already liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free, if something comes across your mind that you didn't get out in the live chat, leave it in the comment section below. I do my best to engage, but I can't write whole, ebooks to comments, but I do my best to try to engage the best that I can. But I love you guys with the love of the Lord. And if there's nothing else, grace and peace.
The culture around us is consistently deforming our walk with Christ, our worship of God, and our witness of the gospel. This deformation comes through entertainment, politics, secular education, and so on. The call for the church is reformation. All genuine reformation is found in the power of God through His inerrant and infallible Word. May God raise up an army of people who are firmly committed to be always reforming for the glory of God.